Welcome to the How to Raise Money podcast for anyone who wants to raise other people's money for a business or property venture. Right now, there has never been more money on the planet, and there has never been more opportunity. This podcast will help you put the two together. So, if you need money for your business or property proposals from banks, lenders, angels, whales, or dragons, this is the podcast for you.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to the How to Raise Money podcast. I'm Ray McLennan.
And he's with me, Nigel T-Best. Raymondo, how the devil are you today?
Yeah, good. It's interesting times we live in. There's all sorts of things.
You've got to come on.
Say that every time.
You say that every time.
Well, it
Let's kick off.
It gets more interesting every week. It gets more interesting because something different comes up, and it's everything moves at such a fast pace.
Hey, well, as I was saying just before we started recording, my eldest, who's 20, who is working a summer job, came back from that job yesterday evening and said, I feel like I've got a bit of a sniffle. So did a quick test, and yes, he's tested positive for coronavirus. So,
you tell me now. I should put my mask on earlier.
There you go. Yeah, is 120 miles apart enough?
Well, I don't know. I've seen some people on Zoom calls with masks on.
I love it. But yeah, so it's still out there. There's still elements out there. But today, Ray, look, we're recording this intro because we've just done a fascinating interview, and I've got to say, the sound quality, I'm going to try and level it up. Yeah. But listen closely, folks, because there's some really interesting bits in there, weren't there, Ray? Fascinating insight into it. And I'm just going to say that what he is doing, he's working with colleagues based in Israel, and he is looking at using the latest crypto, NFT, tokenization, high-tech AI technology to help content creators and artists. So he was talking about, anyone in kind of the arts who are wanting to get a fairer share of their creations. They're setting up a company to do it. But behind that, he's talking about how he goes about raising money. And what did you pick out? What should people be listening out for when he's talking?
Well, when it comes to raising money, there are a lot of common denominators. There's a lot of things that we constantly talk about. We talk about the CREST model, the credibility, return, exit, security, and trust. He talks about it without calling it the CREST model. He talks about it the same things, really, about building a team, about having that credibility, and then about marketing and about raising money from investors and how there's a need to constantly do it. And so a lot of the things that we talk about all the time, it's interesting to hear someone who's in the trenches at the front line and who's done it a number of times and who's now based in Israel. So we'll hear from Abi Rabinovich from Vidalgo.ai.
Yeah, and the key thing for me was listen for when he's talking about when should you market, when should you start promoting yourself, and how much time you should spend on that. That's a good bit. So listen out for that. And also we sort of spiral off a bit about the future. So listen to his thoughts, because he's with some very, very clever guys over there. Their thoughts on digital technology, crypto, all these sort of things that either blow your mind or will leave you fascinated, but the world is going to have them, whether you want them or not. And it's always good to understand something before you either go with it or dismiss it from your particular circumstances. So, yeah, fascinating stuff. Should we dive into the interview, Ray?
Yeah, I think so. Let's go.
Let's do it. Good morning. How are you doing?
Fine. Good morning, Ray and Nigel.
Great to have you here. Thank you very much. So just before we get going, how are you bringing value to yourself and to the How to Raise Money podcast listeners?
So basically, I'm a seasoned entrepreneur. I've been infected not with COVID-19, but with the startup bug for, I think, over 10 years. Really, I don't know if it's a good bug or bad bug, but at least I'm enjoying myself. So I basically studied in the Israeli Technion, which is the MIT of Israel. And I've been in the high-tech business for over 25 years. I worked at big companies, small companies, and in the last 10 years, I'm running my own businesses. I'm married. I have two kids, two lovely kids. And currently, I'm enjoying myself because I'm basically doing what I like with my friends and partners, Liu and Boaz. Both of them have high degrees in artificial intelligence and machine learning from the Technion. And we've been running our own business for almost 3 years. We've been providing services to to small, medium, and large organizations like Microsoft and LB, doing a lot of machine learning and artificial intelligence and system engineering. So we have our own business, our own company. And we decided that, it's like, we like what we're doing, but we're a bit tired of employing our minds to other people or to other companies. And we actually wish to go back. And I say go back because each one of us had his own startup in the past. So we decided to open a subsidiary, Vidalgo, which is basically taking our knowledge, technology, and experience into a product that we are developing. And basically, Vidalgo is currently financed by the mother company, like Tensor Technologies. So we actually invested the pre-seed seed into Vidalgo. So we combine. We have a lot of experience in technology, in business development, how to raise money, and basically Vidalgo is how to make money for artists and creators of content. And today, creators of content don't make enough money. I was creating content. I think that they don't make enough money. Our goal is to actually assist those artists and creators, which are very talented. Wish to assist them to actually, make more money out of their business.
Okay, so today then, this is for anyone that's out there that's got an artistic or content creation style of life, of business, who needs to get that funding. Because, Ray, the other day, the UK government issued a report about content creators and the payment of streaming services for anyone, and they effectively said it needs ripping up and starting again with a much fairer allocation of money paid to the content creators, because I think it was something like 0.0006 of a penny for a stream. So even the people that were getting sort of tens of millions were only earning a few £100 or a few £1,000. It was incredible. So is that kind of who you're targeting then, Avi?
So yeah, we are targeting creators that actually are building specific content, animations, and short animations or digital art. So these are the people that we are targeting. And what you're saying is correct. And I didn't mention it, but Vidalgo will be based on NFT technology, which is like non-fungible tokens. It's a branch of cryptocurrency. And what's great about NFT is that it employs good things from the music industry. So basically, if you're creating content, you can make money out of that, not just by selling it right away, but from the recurring sales of your content. So let's assume that you have something that you painted the Mona Lisa, but nobody thinks now it's a Mona Lisa, and you sell it for $10. But it keeps selling, and people starting to notice this art, and it appreciates in value. You still are getting paid. So even if you sold it initially in $10, maybe 5 years from now it will be sold for $1 million, but you still are reimbursed for this sale. So this is a thing that is great about NFT technology, and it's pretty much similar to music business, where you release a song and you get revenues each time the song is played. So we think that the technology, it's not just allocating more funds, but I think that technology can actually help those creators to make much more money, and not just regulation or somebody else will actually help them. So this is actually what we're employing this technology on our platform. I'd be happy to talk about that.
I think it reminds me a lot of artists way back in the sort of 18th, 19th century, when they would do a painting and they would sell that painting once to someone, and that was it. And then it would hang on the wall, and then they'd have to paint another one, another one, another one. And then they came up with and musicians as well. Music before recording, you would be paid for the sweat of the brow, as they called it, for playing the music. And then when recordings came out, they thought, well, that was going to be the end of it. A band would make one song and that would be the end of it. And they came up with copyright and royalties and royalty income. And royalty income goes back way, way back. I mean, if you look at the law of copyright, which I had studied, it goes back to the Brehon kings of Ireland in the 8th century, when a guy called Columkill, he was asked to dispute because a calf was found wandering in the field, and people were claiming that the calf belonged to them because it was on their land. And he made the ruling that to every cow belongs its calf. So you return the cow to the calf. Otherwise, you have to pay. And they wrote this out on vellum, which was calf skin at the time. And that became the first ruling of copyright. So people have looked for many ways over the years to monetize things. And art's always been one of those things that's difficult to monetize. So with music, they found a way. And everything does find a way. It goes through this, everything goes through the same cycle where it gets disrupted and then someone finds a way, and then that gradually becomes the norm. So it's good to see digital art, which is difficult to capture. I mean, I think it was they're called the cyberpunks in the 90s who wanted to find a way of distributing things in such a way that they could track its distribution, and hence blockchain came along and all the rest of it. And I think it's right as well that streaming people should be paid properly, because it has gone crazy. I mean, in the 90s, I knew people in the music industry and selling CDs who were making fortunes selling a CD. Absolutely. And then, of course, things came along and disrupted it all. And music streaming then became free for a while, and then gradually everything finds its own place. So I suppose depends as an artist where you are in history as to as to whether you'll get paid or not. So it's good. It is good to see digital art being monetized properly, because I think there's a big misunderstanding when it comes to art of how much energy goes into it, how much creative energy goes into it. It's easy when you see the finished result. Non-artists, it's very easy for non-artists to say, "Oh, well, that was easy. It only took you a few minutes." Once they've seen the finished point. But up until that point, they have no idea. So it's good that it's being done. So I'm not wearing a hat, but if I was, I'd take it off to you.
Yeah, and Ray, another thing that art is much like wine; it can appreciate with time. Now, if you don't get reimbursements or continuous revenues, then and you are not a salesperson or a marketer, and you just sell what you're good at, then perhaps the initial payment does not reflect the value of your art. But then you sold it, and that's it, and other people will actually make money out of that. So this is very important to keep getting reimbursed for what you actually did. Yeah,
and it's interesting because we've all heard of Fiverr.com, which almost seems like a race to the bottom. You go there. It's great for sort of consumers and great for people wanting things done, because a lot of stuff is pretty standardized now. I think, when it comes to getting a website, there's templates. It's all very easy. But when you see something done well and it stands out, it raises the bar, which is always good. And it's right that people should be paid for raising that bar. So when it comes to raising money, how to raise money podcast. So this episode is actually for artists to know that there is a company out there, there's mechanisms out there that they can monetize their work. So
Avi, in terms of the solution for the person then, how is this going to affect their income levels or their revenue streams? You know, what are you hoping to take people from and to using your tech?
Okay, so we look at Vidalgo as a digital museum or a digital library. So if you are an artist, first of all, we give you the ability to market yourself. To open a gallery on our platform, we'll do the marketing and sales for you. So you can actually sell your short animations and your artwork to anybody that is actually interested. And also you can, people can hire you as like in many other platforms. So those are the, like I call them the basic things. So we give you the ability to focus on the things that you're good at, making art, and we'll showcase, like in a museum, we'll showcase what you're doing. And then you can sell your artwork to anybody that is interested. So this is number one. But the second thing, we are going to allow you to tokenize your artwork in NFT marketplace. You can tokenize your artwork. You will be able to tokenize your artworks. You even in the future will be able to tokenize your gallery. And basically, by doing that, you can actually place an auction on your artwork. You can say, okay, I have something which I think is great. Like I think it's the next Mona Lisa, or whatever. Let's press a button, tokenize, and put it on an auction. And then maybe you'll get much more money because people realize that what you're doing is actually good. And once you tokenize your artwork, as I told you before, even if the initial price is like not that high, it can appreciate. So you'll be able to get percentages out of future sales. And all those things that I'm telling you, it should be very easy to the artist. Like it doesn't have to know what crypto is, NFT is, whatever.
So it's a bit like when you've got a star football player and you sell them on, but you put in a clause that says, oh, by the way, if you sell him and get a lot more, we get 20% of that. And if they sell him and they get more, we still get that. Or if someone over here in the UK, right, they'll sell land that doesn't have planning permission. And if somebody gets the planning permission, you get a percentage of that huge uplift. So you're kind of digitizing that.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. So what's the company called? What's the platform called that you've got?
So the company or the product is Vidalgo, vidalgo.ai.
How do you spell that?
Vidalgo. It's like Vidalgo. Vidalgo.
Vidalgo. .ai.
Yeah.
.ai. So this is actually a website. We are planning to release like an initial MVP, I guess, in a month, something like that.
Okay.
And how does Vidalgo make money? Take a percentage?
Yeah. So first of all, we make money from the sale of assets. We wish to keep the platform for free. So if you're a creator, you have the galleries, you can actually upload your stuff. And we get percentages. We get percentages from your sales, from the NFT. This is currently the business model.
Okay. So when it comes to raising money, you've said you were a serial startup. You love starting up companies and getting involved. What advice do you have for startups to raise money?
Okay, so I think, first of all, you need to look at the entrepreneur and what is his state in life. If he's like very young, like 20, 25, and he doesn't have family or obligations, go bootstrap, like do whatever you wish, walk in the beach, and actually try to appreciate, to increase the value of a product before you try to raise money. Because one of the major problems is what we call product market fit. You build something, you think it's good, you release it, it's not. So I think that if you're not a seasoned entrepreneur, try to actually decrease the risk for your future investor by actually releasing things to the market as soon as possible. And then if you're young and whatever, go and try to raise your pre-seed or seed investment. I think if you are more mature, you have family and obligations, don't leave your core income. This is a mistake, and this is something that me and actually my partners have done before, because you never know. And if you are accustomed to a way of life, and your family is accustomed to a way of life, and your wife is accustomed to a way of life, it can create a lot of conflict, and a startup is a roller coaster. So you don't need to be in a roller coaster in front of your investors and in front of your product and your employees, and problems in your home with your family. So you need to be very careful. You need to keep, it's always decreasing quality of life, but keep it checked and talk with your family and understand what actually is possible for them and what is not. Again, my initial startups, I did raise seed investment. I call it begging, because you try to sell a dream. And with seed investment and pre-seed, it works. But once you get to round A, which is one of the toughest rounds ever, you need to prove something. And then, you get to round A, you say, okay, I have money for like half a year. Let's try to raise round A. And in most cases, you get like with your tongue out, without any money, and you start compromising. It's very, very bad. So always try to raise money. Raising money does not finish with like seed, and then you'll say, okay, now I'm cool. And always try to raise more money and try to get your product to market as soon as possible, because round A, you need to prove that you actually that your product works. And the best thing, at least this is what we're doing right now, don't raise money and try to raise money when you actually need to grow. Like if this is what we're doing right now, we wish to get our product and actually show our community that it is worthwhile. And then when we raise money, we actually have proof. And then we're raising it not as beggars, but as actually people that wish to grow the business. So for us, this is something that we learned from our previous startups, and we can do it. Not everybody can do that, because if you like work in Microsoft and then you have like a very nice idea, you can't actually, and you need to bootstrap. You don't have the ability to fund yourself, so you do need to go and raise your pre-seed or seed.
Avi, where do you go? Who do you look for? What sort of person or what sort of investor do you look for when you trying to get that seed capital?
So it really depends on the type of business. It really depends on how charismatic you are. Of course, it's the best investor is the one that can actually help you and open doors and all those things that you hear. But like whoever gives you money, it's like in my case, when I raised money, it was very difficult to get money. So in the initial stage, I said, I will look for an investor that can help me, blah blah blah. But 99% say no. So basically, I ended with getting investment from the investor that wanted to give me money. And I looked, there are a lot of, at least in Israel, there are a lot of spreadsheets and people here, everybody you can turn and raise money from. So, and you can actually talk with. So there are a lot of resources to try and raise money. And again, if you can get a good investor, like a person that you can like talk with and he can actually assist you, and you will not sit like on your back and try to rip you off or try to too much intervene in your business, go for it. But if you don't have any choice, then you need to compromise, especially in seed and pre-seed and seed.
And
you can also an accelerator.
Just a quick question, Avi. Have you ever had somebody who you've never spoken to, where you've decided you needed some money, and all of a sudden someone has knocked at the door and said, I think I'd like to give you money. Has anyone ever done that with you not looking for them? Has anyone ever walked up to you and said, here's some money, now tell me what you can do with it?
No.
No,
But
exactly. You've got to get out there and ask people, haven't you?
no, but
Oh,
the
go on.
mistake
Here we
that
go.
I did, and this is something that I'm like, this is, if it can be my only advice, this would be the advice. Do marketing from stage one. The minute you start your startup, start your marketing. Even if you don't have a technology, write a blog, write about yourself, write about your vision. Because if you're doing marketing from day one, like we're doing right now, and you tell about your vision, and people can find you in Google, somebody may actually talk with you. And I can tell you that, now we're doing marketing, so I get phone calls from Samsung and from big client companies that are asking, what are you doing? Maybe you wish to join our accelerator program. And they're doing that just because we published and did some marketing for our initiative. And if you don't do that, and you sit at home and think that somebody will know about you and, like, as you said, knock on your door and offer you money, forget about it. Even if your idea is like the greatest idea ever. So start doing marketing from day one. This is like my advice.
Perfect. Yeah, exactly that. I mean, the old phrase of Ralph Waldo Emerson was build the world's greatest mousetrap and the world will come knocking at your door. And the only trouble was he was a philosopher, a poetist, an author. He wasn't a marketer. And he missed out the biggest step, which is tell the world that you've got the world's greatest mousetrap. That's the thing. So, yeah, I love that, Avi. Ray, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was going to ask a question about time and the amount of time, because you said you have to keep looking for money all the time. How much time would you spend on marketing and finding money? Because you've got a business, you've obviously got the product to develop, you've got to get it out there. So your time would have to be allocated. So just in sort of percentage terms.
This is actually a great question and a very difficult one to answer, because in many cases, the initial the entrepreneurs, like the CEO and CTO, they need to wear a lot of hats. It's like they need to be the developers and the marketers and the salespeople and the product managers and everything. And basically, in most cases, people tend to go to the place where they feel comfortable. So if you're an engineer, you'll go into technology. Why? Because you know that it's needed and you're comfortable with that, and it's like problem going to other realms which are not. So if you don't have a choice, you do need to invest at least 20 to 30% of your time in hunting for money and doing the marketing. If you can add another partner that is more into marketing and biz dev, then give him the time he needs to do that. So I guess it's also team building. So you need to build a team that is diversified, and not everybody needs to do technical stuff. So if you build a diversified team and you find somebody that is like very good, is charismatic and is very good with people, give him the time he needs to do those things, because it's super important. Many startups fail because they run out of money, even if they have a great idea. They think, as engineers, we think that in 1 month we'll have a product. It's not true. We will need at least 3 months. So we raise money. We raise money for we try to raise money for 1 month, but the investor gives us money for half a month. But we need it for free. So, you can't beat the physics, like it doesn't work. So you do need to be realistic, and you need to invest the time into marketing and raising funds. And if you have a partner which is good at, or find a partner that is good in those things, give him the time he needs to do that. It's very important. Marketing, and continue to raise money all the time. So
probably the time allocation, 110% on marketing, 110% on raising money, and then a bit on the product. Yeah. I guess as well, Avi, that kind of allocation of time changes during the product life cycle. So, when you're at that point, that marketing is telling people to get the investors and the capital in at the beginning, and then the marketing would be for the end result or the target audience for the actual product, the user, the customer. So it's almost probably a slightly different marketing programs out there, strategies. Avi, I'm curious to know, are sort of the UK's view of Israel is that Israel is in a tight spot, and the perception is very, very divided over here between Israel being surrounded and persecuted, and Israel being the giant that is aggressive. It's a strange situation. Me as a kid growing up, I had, you have your best friends, and it was only after a few years that you kind of realized that because we used to have different school assemblies in the morning, and it used to go, well, you used to think, God, how do they keep missing this assembly? And then you realize that they went to a different assembly because most of my friends were Jewish, and it was kind of weird. And then as a kid, you try and get your head around it, and you just think, well, it doesn't really matter because they're just my friends, and I go around to their house, they come to mine, etc., etc. You never really think about it. And I know, Ray, you had a very eclectic mix of sort of worldly wise people in your friends as kids. I find it weird that people have such animosity to other people or fear or whatever. But that's an outsider's view, and I'm sure life is not like that all the time. I'm sure it is. But Avi, just this isn't really for the podcast. This is just, I'm curious to know how is it from the insider's viewpoint in Israel?
Well, for us, it's at least for me, things are great because we're actually doing what we like to do. We're used to living here, like you're used to living in the UK, and I'm sure that you have your own things. You need to understand that the media is always blowing things out of proportion, like it's crazy. So you need to, relax and see the situation as is. For me, Israel is like an heaven because when I see the countries that surround us, like I live in Haifa, it's 50 kilometers from Syria and Lebanon. And the people there are miserable. Like, really? I'm living, I can buy you whatever I want. I can open any business that I want. All my friends are very talented. It's fun for me living here. So when I look at the alternatives that surround me, I feel fortunate. So this is, and of course there are problems and things can be better and whatever, but look at what's going on in the world. Look at the climate changes. Look at Greece. Look at the COVID, the pandemic, what you had in UK. So, you need to take things into proportion and appreciate what you have. And I think that if you don't go to the media and hear all those fake news and stuff, and you look what we have here, it's good. Like, we have a good life, we have lots of opportunities, and actually people here who are talented can do whatever they like. Doesn't matter if you're male or female, doesn't matter your gender, if you're Muslim, Jewish, or Christian. We don't care in our community. We really don't care. We only look at talent. We only look at how nice you are, like how you can communicate. Those are things that interest us. We really don't. Yeah, and of course, there is the economic situation, the military, and stuff like that. But this is part of life.
Yeah.
Can I ask about startup communities and things? In the UK, there's a lot of support for startups. There's an organization, for example, called Entrepreneurial Spark, and there are hubs, as they call it, incubator hubs all across the UK. There's grant funding. There's competitions where people can win money. Is there such a thing in Israel? Is there? Can you tell us a bit about that?
So I think that one of the major contributors to the Israeli startup community is the chief scientist of Israel. He has quite high funding for startups. So basically, most of the startups, or many startups that I know, apply to some type of chief scientist program. They have small programs like for up to 100,000 shekels, which is around, I think, 25,000 pounds. You have programs for 2 million shekels for 2 years. And they don't take, it's like a loan, but if you don't succeed, you don't return it. But and they don't take percentages out of your company. They have programs you can actually collaborate with other countries. So most of startups use this try to use this chief scientist funding, and of course we have huge amount of support like accelerators, incubators, large organizations. Like large companies like Samsung, Microsoft, IBM, that have like multiple programs, and not all programs give you money. But when you're like a new entrepreneur and you go to an accelerator and you have a great idea, they will help you. They will tell you how to build your startup, and they will introduce you to other investors. So yeah, the ecosystem is very supportive.
And do you?
Of course, you can always have much more money, but
Avi, in terms of investors, is it worldwide investors, or is it Israeli-based investors? Is it faith-based? Is it or do people just look at a project and just think that's a good project, and it doesn't matter who it is?
Yeah, so the investors are divided into like angel investor, friends and family, of course, angel investors, which can be local or not, and strategic investors, like a lot of international companies have investments arms, like Microsoft or whatever, that you can get like strategic investment. And VCs, you have local VCs, but you also have VCs from all around, so you can. It's not a problem if you like have a very good product, or if you're a seasoned entrepreneur to get investment locally or use external money like VCs from UK, US, or whatever. So all the options are open, and we like to travel. Well, at least prior to COVID, we like to travel. So many of my friends, may go to the United States and open branches there or raise money offshore. So yeah, the opportunities here and opportunities offshore.
Yeah, right. It's kind of what we've said, isn't it? If it's an irresistible offer, you'll find that suddenly every other prejudice that people may or may not have gets moved to one side, and it's kind of no. This is a good idea. We need to get in on this.
Actually, a few years ago, there was a lot of investment from China, like. Before COVID, I hosted each week a delegation from China, from people that are doing everything. Like a guy that has a rubber company comes to invest in high tech. It's funny. He even doesn't speak English, but there was like huge delegations from China to invest in Israeli technology. Now it's less, of course, because of COVID, but it was very popular a few years ago.
Yeah, they seem to be investing everywhere. Every country in the world, there's Chinese delegations coming and buying stuff up. So that's one way to raise money, is to sell out to China. Possibly.
In terms of the international money, over here in the UK, we've got to be able to prove the source of funds and the legitimacy of funds to make sure that it's not coming from nefarious schemes or something from somewhere. Is it the same in Israel? You have to do checks on overseas investments?
Yeah, the financial system here became much more rigid. But again, if we were talking about international investors which are well known, like I don't know, Sequoia or whatever, then they have branches in Israel. So many VCs have branches in Israel. So you actually can use the local branch to get external money. But yeah, the financial system here also became very rigid. Even today, let's assume we have, it's not investment, but we are employing a company from the UK to do marketing for us. So each month we need to go to our bank and fill out forms that we are passing this money to a company. We're doing it each month. So, okay, well, so why do we need to do that? Because the Israeli bank is forcing them to actually do this. It's regulated here. So the regulations in Israel also became much more rigid than before.
Right. So very similar sort of regimes, I guess, in terms of regulations and money laundering and those sort of things. But Avi, we've got to ask you, you're talking about Vidalgo helping people, content creators, and do the tokenization. And this may be new to some people. They may have seen it on the news and they may have heard a bit about cryptocurrencies and these sort of things, these digital rights and digital sort of tracing and all of this sort of thing. I want you to put on your future glasses and just peer off into the future. Where do you see this going? What's going to be big? You know, where would you be investing or looking to do things if you were an investor or you wanted to start a business in the future?
So specifically, I think a few technologies. This technology of NFT, I think it's a great thing to start now. Think about. Actually, I checked. Think about Bitcoin 5 years ago. One Bitcoin was worth $500 5 years ago. At the peak of 2021, it was worth 60,000. So I think that the digital art and NFT, we believe it is the Bitcoin 5 years ago. So we really think it is. Of course, it's still Wild West. I always say, when people got to the United States seeking for gold, some were eaten by lions, some were killed by Indians, but there were people that actually got the gold. So NFT and crypto today is like it's a bit of Wild West, but it has all the technologies are many technologies are like that. But we believe that specifically NFT and crypto has a great future, and also digital art. And of course, as people that are doing a lot of artificial intelligence and machine learning, this is also it is a part of our product, like especially generative things. So how can you use AI to create something new? And actually, we're doing that for Hidalgo. So this is also something that I believe is like super important and something to invest into.
So for people that are wanting to get a bit more information about that or understand a little bit more about it, is there where would you point them? Which direction would you point them to up their knowledge on these sort of things?
Okay, so specifically for NFT, we publish articles at least 2 articles each month on this technology. So even if you're not interested in Vidalgo and the product, but you're interested in the technology, you can go to a Vidalgo AI blog and read about NFT. We have something like, I think, 5 articles, and we're writing more about the technology. And since we're actually employing the technology, we are writing on something that we are doing, on our own experience, on our own mistakes. So I guess people that are reading that will get from first hand. They can follow us and maybe not do the mistakes that we are doing. So I believe we can use our blog to read about this technology. Yes, I think that for NFT we have great articles about the subject. About artificial intelligence, it's like it's all around. But we are also writing about those things. And basically, we are very pro entrepreneurs. So if people have questions to us, they can write to me. I'll be happy to, talk to entrepreneurs and tell them from my experience and also, advise regarding technology. I love doing that because I was an entrepreneur years ago and people helped me. And I think that you need to give back. So, we'll be happy. I'll be happy to assist and to answer questions to anybody.
Okay, fabulous. Well, what we'll do is we'll get the details off you, Avi, and we'll stick those in the show notes for people. But I've got a burning question, and this is this is one of those. There are no stupid questions until somebody says one, and then you go, actually, no, that is a stupid question. But here we go. I'm going to say it anyway. All right, I've got the NFT, I've got the token, I've got the rights to some digital art. I've only got an A4 printer. How do I get that piece of art to be 3 meters by 3 meters and actually put it on the wall? How do you actually convert your digital product into something in a frame on a wall?
So you wish to convert the digital to a physical one, right?
Yeah, I want to see. I've bought this thing. It's a beautiful painting. It's a beautiful image. How do I do it and know that it's original? Because there's no brush strokes on it. How do we do it?
Actually, I bought a new house, and there is a company in Israel where you send a picture and they print it they frame it and print it. I did that for my digital art, so you can do the same. Just send it to a company that actually prints in high resolution, and they will send you back a picture. And even if you have the signature of the original writer, or you can, what you can actually do. If you bought it in the NFT market, the NFT comes with a token. You can print the token on the picture itself. It's like it's like a signature. So you can say, this is a picture that was printed out of a digital art, and this is my token. This is my NFT token. This proves that it's actually I bought the NFT. It's mine. I'm kidding, but this can be like the signature.
It's a strange concept because, again, in the UK, there's a program it's doing a new series of programs at the moment, but it's where people think that they have got, say, a Monet or a Van Gogh or something like that, but it's been disputed in the past. And what they're now doing is chemical analysis of the paint and X-rays of it and examinations, and they're trying to get the provenance and all the rest of it. When you've just got something printed by a company with a token, how are we going to in the future say, yes, that's the proper one? Is it purely because you have the digital item behind it? Or, how do you prove that's the original?
So the proof is digital. So basically, right. NFT is based on the blockchain technology. So if we assume that the blockchain, what?
It's purely the fact that you've got the NFT, the token, the blockchain behind what you're actually physically seeing.
Yeah, but what you can do, and most people are doing that in crypto, you can have your wallet in a secure discount key. So it is a physical proof. So what you can do is actually, after you purchase your digital your asset, you don't need to, it's on the servers, but if you don't trust servers, you can actually buy a very specific discount key. There are discount keys that are for the cryptocurrency industry, and you can actually embed your wallet in this discount key and put it in a safe. So this is the proof that it's yours, and this is undisputed. So this is actually something you can do, and then you have a physical proof that you are the owner.
Very good. What can you tokenize? Can you tokenize anything?
Yeah, because basically, if you go to the NFT world today, you see artists tokenize the art, NBA tokenizes clips, I know that Disney started tokenizing premium dolls. So basically, you can tokenize everything. The digital token itself is the proof, and you can tokenize your car, basically, if you wish. The token itself has value. It's like a token itself is a proof of is some sort of proof of ownership. But it is still Wild West because in many cases there is not a direct link between the token and the digital asset that you supposedly own. So this is something that is still being developed. This connection between the token and the artwork that you are tokenizing. There is an example of the Nyan cat. If you saw the Nyan cat animation, it's a very silly animation of a cat. The token was sold for, I think, $60,000 or more. But everybody can get this animation. So what exactly do you own? So you own the NFT. Does it have value? People think that it has value because somebody paid $60,000 for it. So you are asking a fair question. It's something that is still, under development.
Because some of these NFTs are going to effectively, people will say, actually, that one's going to tend to zero because there's no way of monetizing it other than, the fact that you've got it. And if there's nothing potentially behind it or no resale value, it's going to keep going down. But others are going to, appreciate dramatically, aren't they? So
yeah, for me, it's exactly the same with modern art. When I see people buy paintings with, something that my child can do and pay millions, it's crazy for me. Why? My child can do better. I think it's perception. If you perceive something if other people perceive that what you're doing has value, it has value. So why diamonds have value? The diamonds are not rare mineral, but the minting of diamonds, there is a limited supply. And my wife thinks it has value. So it has value. I don't think it has value. For me, it's just spending money. Somebody thinks it has value. Okay, I guess it's enough. And if you think it has value, you have the money to actually pay for it. Then.
Yeah, and when it comes to raising money, if the investor thinks your business has value, it's going to make raising capital a hell of a lot easier.
That's it. Absolutely.
Look at companies like WeWork or which they don't make it all. It's not a business that actually makes more money than it spends, but they're like marketed for billions of dollars. Why? Because people think they have value and the value will appreciate and will grow. So in many cases, it's selling a dream. You have to be an actor. As a CEO of a startup company, you need to sell your dream. Absolutely important.
Yeah.
That's it. Get out there, tell the world, and then they will beat a path to your door. But you have to tell them first. You've got to do the marketing. Well done.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, Avi, that's been great. We will round this up and we'll put the details in the show notes, how people can get a hold of your company, hidalgo.ai, and you can go there. There's also items on the blog that they can read all about blockchain technology and NFTs, non-fungible tokens, which are fascinating to me. They're in the news. It is the Wild West. They are going to get, some will hugely grow in value, and those are the ones the press will be all over, and they'll have people shaking their heads, wondering what on earth has gone, the world has gone mad, and others diving in and buying. So nothing much has changed. It's been that way since the beginning of time. I mean, even brilliant artists today like Vincent van Gogh, nobody bought stuff when he was alive. It's alleged that he didn't sell one single painting while he was alive. So there you go. And now, they're millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. So there we are. Okay. Thank you, Avi. Thank you for coming on. Thank you for telling your story. Thank you for letting us know how to raise money through art. And I'm sure that will be an interesting subject for many, many of our listeners, and we'll get some feedback on it and we'll let you know how it went.
Thank you, Ray. Thank you, Nigel. It was a pleasure.
Thank you
Great
very
to
much.
have you here, Avi. Super to meet you. Good luck with everything.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that was thank you very much, Abby. Fascinating interview. So Abby Rabinovich from Vidalgo.ai talking all about NFTs, non-fungible tokens, how you can make money from digital art. And if you're a creator, how you can make money. So wonderful to him. Thank you very much for that.
Yep. Thank you, Avi. Great stuff. And we'll see you again. Who are you, Ray?
I'm Ray McLennan.
And I'm still Nigel T-Best. We'll see you soon, folks. Bye for now.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the How to Raise Money podcast. It's made for people who want to raise money as debt or investment equity for their business or property proposal or empire. See you next time, where we can show you how to raise money. There is abundance. There is money enough for everyone on the planet. The question is, who has yours?